The Matrix changed my life, and then over these years, it's changed so many other people's lives.
Few films have left as profound and lasting a mark on pop culture as The Matrix. Since its groundbreaking release in 1999, it has captivated audiences with its mind-bending story, revolutionary visual effects, and philosophical questions about reality and free will. Yet, beneath the surface of this iconic sci-fi masterpiece, there are many secrets, subtle details, and hidden meanings that even the most devoted fans have yet to uncover. What makes these revelations even more fascinating is that many come directly from the cast themselves, those who lived and breathed these characters on set, offering unique glimpses into the making of the film and the layers woven into every scene. Today, we'll share with all of you how the Matrix cast revealed what most fans never figured out. Let's get started. The casting process and actor preparations. When Lana and Lily Wachowski, writers and directors of The Matrix, embarked on their ambitious project in the mid-1990s, they sought actors who could not only embody the philosophical depth of their script, but also commit to the intense physical demands of their vision. Keanu Reeves' journey to becoming Neo is perhaps the most celebrated transformation in the film's history. Before landing the role, Reeves was known primarily for action and drama roles, but the Wachowskis saw a quiet intensity in him that suited their protagonist's gradual awakening to reality's layers. To prepare, Reeves underwent an exhaustive training regimen under the guidance of renowned fight choreographer Yuen Wu-ping, who was responsible for the film's iconic martial arts sequences. Starting in early 1998 at Fox Studios Australia, Reeves trained 6 days a week for months, mastering kung fu, wire work, and weapon handling. The physical transformation was demanding, but equally significant was Reeves's mental preparation. In interviews, he has described immersing himself in the film's philosophical themes, reading texts on existentialism and Zen Buddhism to internalize Neo's journey. Now, that's something, but we're just getting started. Carrie-Anne Moss, cast as Trinity, faced her own rigorous physical challenges. Before The Matrix, Moss had limited stunt experience, but the Wachowskis believed her natural athleticism and intensity made her ideal for the role. Under Yuen Wu-ping's tutelage alongside Reeves, Moss embraced the punishing physical training, which included wire few techniques that demanded strength, agility, and precision. Her breakthrough came with the famous lobby shootout and rooftop chase scenes, where she performed many of her stunts with fearless determination. Similarly, Lawrence Fishburne's embodiment of Morpheus brought gravitas and philosophical depth to the film. Known for his commanding presence, Fishburne approached the character as more than just a mentor figure. He saw Morpheus as a spiritual guide, a beacon of faith in the search for truth. To prepare, Fishburne delved into the film's existential themes, drawing inspiration from a range of philosophical sources, including Plato's allegory of the cave and the writings of Jean Baudrillard, whose book Simulacra and Simulation famously influenced the screenplay. Behind the scenes, Fishburne also shared a warm camaraderie with the cast, often mentoring younger actors through the demanding shooting schedule. Hugo Weaving's portrayal of Agent Smith required a different kind of preparation altogether. His preparation was deeply psychological. He viewed Agent Smith as a representation of the system's oppressive control, almost like a machine rather than a person. To capture this, Weaving studied the restrained mannerisms and mechanical movements that would distinguish Smith from the human characters. He also worked closely with the directors to develop the character's distinct, clipped vocal tone and unnerving presence. Weaving once remarked in an interview that playing Smith was like being the embodiment of pure antagonism, but with an undercurrent of sadness and frustration at his own existence. The initial chemistry among the cast was a vital ingredient in bringing the story to life. Rehearsals held in Sydney in late 1997 were marked by a mix of intense preparation and moments of levity. Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, in particular, developed a strong rapport early on. This translated into the on-screen chemistry between Neo and Trinity. From the moment The Matrix hit theaters in 1999, audiences were captivated not just by its groundbreaking visuals and action, but by the depth and complexity of its characters. What many fans may not realize is that the rich layers of Neo, Trinity, Morpheus, and Agent Smith were not solely crafted by the Wachowskis' visionary script, but also significantly shaped by the actors themselves. Throughout filming, character interpretations evolved organically as the cast became more comfortable inhabiting their roles. The Wachowskis encouraged improvisation and open dialogue on set, allowing actors to explore dimensions of their characters that might not have been explicit in the script. For example, during the famous lobby shootout sequence, Keanu Reeves improvised a slight hesitation before firing at the security guard, a subtle choice that heightened Neo's sense of moral conflict at that moment. Similarly, Carrie-Anne Moss's delivery of Trinity's line, "I'm going to enjoy watching you die," was softened after initial takes, adding a layer of cold calculation mixed with a personal determination that deepened Trinity's complexity. Another notable instance occurred during the dojo training scene, where Lawrence Fishburne's Morpheus challenges Neo with the question, "Do you believe that my being stronger or faster has anything to do with my muscles in this place?" Fishburne added a slight pause and inflection to this line that suggested Morpheus was imparting wisdom beyond the immediate context, inviting viewers to consider the nature of reality and perception itself. The subtle layering of these performances helped transform The Matrix from a visually spectacular sci-fi thriller into a profound meditation on identity, choice, and reality. As Carrie-Anne Moss reflected in a 2019 interview celebrating the film's 20th anniversary, we weren't just playing characters. We were part of a philosophical conversation that still resonates today. Speaking of on-screen portrayals, you probably missed a couple of things: behind-the-scenes secrets and filming challenges. Shot primarily at Fox Studios Australia in Sydney, the production pushed the boundaries of late 1990s filmmaking with pioneering visual effects, innovative camera techniques, and meticulously choreographed fight sequences. These behind-the-scenes elements not only shaped the film's iconic style, but also brought numerous challenges and memorable moments that remain part of the cast's lore today. One of the most revolutionary aspects of The Matrix was its use of bullet-time photography, a technique that gave the film its signature slow-motion effect where the camera appears to move around frozen or slowed characters. Developed through a collaboration between the Wachowskis, cinematographer Bill Pope, and visual effects company Manex Visual Effects, bullet time involved rigging dozens of still cameras in a precise array around the actors, capturing sequential images that were digitally stitched together. This method was groundbreaking when first tested in late 1998. Cinematographer Bill Pope later described it as a marriage of art and technology that fundamentally changed how action scenes could be portrayed on screen. The bullet time effect debuted spectacularly in the famous rooftop dodge sequence where Neo bends backward to avoid bullets, forever cementing the film's place in cinematic history. Behind the glamour of cutting-edge technology, the cast often faced unexpected and challenging moments on set. Carrie-Anne Moss recalled a funny incident during the filming of the lobby shootout in early 1999. In a tense scene where Trinity leaps through glass, the stunt team had to reset the shattered glass multiple times after each take, leading to a building filled with shards and a rather slippery floor. Moss joked in a 2000 interview that, Every take felt like skating on an ice rink made of glass. Keanu Reeves also shared that one day a malfunctioning wire rig sent him careening unexpectedly during a jump scene, resulting in a minor scrape. The physical demands placed on the actors were enormous, with an extensive training program beginning months before filming. The Wachowskis enlisted the legendary Hong Kong fight choreographer Yuen Wu-ping, known for his work on martial arts classics like Iron Monkey and Drunken Master. Yuen's team arrived in Sydney in late 1997 to begin training the principal cast, including Reeves, Moss, Lawrence Fishburne, and Hugo Weaving in various martial arts styles, wirework, and acrobatics. The training lasted up to 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, often pushing the actors to their limits. Reeves described the process in a 1999 LA Times article as transformative but exhausting. Carrie-Anne Moss similarly credited the rigorous preparation for her confidence in performing many of her own stunts, including complex flips and combat moves that became fan favorites. Despite the grueling schedule and intense physicality, the cast developed a strong camaraderie that helped sustain morale during long days of shooting. Lawrence Fishburne, who was considerably more experienced in the industry, often acted as a mentor on set, fostering a collaborative environment that balanced professionalism with warmth. Keanu Reeves has remarked in multiple interviews that the bond formed during those months of training, rehearsing, and shooting was instrumental in creating the believable chemistry audiences saw on screen. He fondly recalled late-night discussions with Moss and Fishburne about the film's deeper themes, which often extended well beyond their scenes. One of the biggest technical challenges was acting in front of green screens, as much of The Matrix's virtual world was created using CGI backgrounds added in post-production. The cast had to imagine environments and react to invisible opponents or effects, which demanded extraordinary focus and imagination. Carrie-Anne Moss admitted in a 2000 Entertainment Weekly interview that acting in such sparse settings was like performing in a void, where you had to trust the vision and believe in the unseen. Keanu Reeves echoed this sentiment, recounting how the lack of physical sets sometimes made the fight choreography even harder, as precise timing with invisible elements was crucial to maintain the illusion. The technical crew often marked positions with tape and cues, but the actors' ability to internalize the scenes was vital to their success. One particularly memorable anecdote involves the iconic lobby scene's slow-motion gunfire, where Reeves and Moss had to time their movements to the bullet time cameras' frame-by-frame capture. The scene required dozens of takes, each exhausting both physically and mentally. Hugo Weaving, known for his meticulous approach, once commented that these extended takes felt like a dance, where every step had to be perfect, or the whole sequence would collapse. Despite the challenges, these moments of precision became some of the most visually stunning sequences ever filmed. In the end, the behind-the-scenes efforts, the cutting-edge effects, the punishing training, the green screen acting, and the strong cast chemistry combined to create a film that transcended its genre. The Wachowskis' vision, supported by a dedicated cast and crew willing to push themselves to extremes, resulted in a cinematic experience that remains fresh and innovative over 2 decades later. As Keanu Reeves reflected during the 20th anniversary celebrations in 2019, The Matrix was a perfect storm of technology, philosophy, and human effort. We didn't just make a movie. We created a new language of film. This blend of technical mastery and human grit is the essence of the film's behind-the-scenes story, one of relentless innovation, unexpected humor, and unforgettable dedication. Easter eggs and subtle details only the cast noticed Long after The Matrix's release in 1999, the film's cult following continues to thrive not only because of its revolutionary visual effects and mind-bending plot, but also due to hidden details and Easter eggs that reward close viewing. What many fans might not realize is that some of these subtle layers were so obscure or purposefully understated that only the cast and crew fully grasped their meaning during filming. Over the years, through interviews, documentaries, and candid conversations, members of the cast have shared fascinating insights about secret symbols, costume nuances, and deliberate design choices that deepened their connection to their characters and enriched the storytelling. For instance, in a 2000 Entertainment Weekly interview conducted during the film's promotional tour, Carrie Ann Moss revealed that the wardrobe department intentionally designed her costume to reflect her character's evolution. The iconic black leather bodysuit and sleek sunglasses weren't just about style or sci-fi aesthetics. They symbolized Trinity's increasing detachment from the simulated Matrix world and her emergence as a figure of empowerment and control. Moss recalled that early on, her costumes were deliberately more restrained and practical. But as the story progressed and Trinity's relationship with Neo deepened, subtle changes in her outfit, such as the gradual addition of more reflective surfaces and sharper tailoring, mirrored her growing confidence and agency. These details, while invisible to most viewers, were immediately noticed by the actors who wore the costumes daily and lived inside their characters. Keanu Reeves also shared an intriguing observation about color symbolism, which many fans often overlook. He pointed out in a 2019 conversation for the film's 20th anniversary that the distinct green tint applied during post-production to scenes inside the Matrix was not just a stylistic choice, but an intentional visual cue that helped actors stay in character. Reeves explained that the green hue created a surreal atmosphere on set, subtly reminding the cast that they were inhabiting an artificial world. Conversely, the real-world scenes, filmed in desolate locations like the dockyard in Sydney, had a cold, desaturated blue-gray palette. This color dichotomy influenced how actors modulated their performances. Reeves noted that scenes drenched in green felt more controlled, almost robotic, while outside the Matrix, the emotional rawness was heightened by the muted colors. This thoughtful color coding was a hidden tool that helped the cast maintain psychological continuity with their characters' shifting realities. Another fascinating layer of detail involved the props, many of which contained symbolic references or foreshadowing. Lawrence Fishburne once discussed the significance of Morpheus's sunglasses in a 2001 behind-the-scenes documentary. The glasses, with their unusual oval shape and mirrored lenses, were more than a fashion statement. Fishburne suggested that they symbolized Morpheus's role as a gatekeeper, obscuring his eyes so he could see the truth without revealing it fully to others, representing his function as both mentor and enigmatic guide. The sunglasses also had a practical use on set, filtering the harsh Australian sunlight while adding to Morpheus's mystique. Dialogue delivery and subtle expressions offered yet another treasure trove of Easter eggs, as several cast members pointed out in retrospective interviews. Hugo Weaving, who portrayed the cold and calculating Agent Smith, described how he used tiny facial tics to convey the character's growing frustration and disdain for humanity. In particular, Weaving highlighted a barely noticeable tightening of his jaw or a brief narrowing of his eyes in moments where Smith wrestled with his emerging self-awareness and existential angst, details that fans might miss, but which gave the character a depth beyond the archetypal villain. Weaving mentioned in a 2005 Q&A at the Sydney Film Festival that these micro-expressions were deliberate choices to hint at the program's internal conflict, adding a layer of tragic irony to the character. Perhaps one of the most fascinating accounts of hidden foreshadowing came from Keanu Reeves, who noticed a subtle connection in the film's early dialogues that only made sense in hindsight. During a 2017 interview with The Guardian, Reeves recounted how certain lines delivered by Morpheus, such as, "Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself," contained layered hints about the narrative structure and the cyclical nature of Neo's journey. Reeves emphasized that the cast often discussed these lines on set, recognizing that the Wachowskis embedded philosophical clues not just in the script's content, but in the cadence and emphasis of delivery. Reeves recalled that spotting these hidden connections made the filming process feel like an intellectual puzzle. Finally, several actors have spoken about the subtle shifts in their characters' relationships, which were mirrored in quiet, on-screen gestures that only they noticed. Carrie-Anne Moss remembered how the briefest glances shared between Trinity and Neo, sometimes a barely perceptible smile or a lingering look, were improvised or added spontaneously. Moss said in a 2010 Collider podcast that these small touches made the story feel alive. Deep stuff, right? Well, you probably have your own observations about the film's themes too. But what did the actors themselves feel? Cast reflections on themes and philosophical underpinnings. Over the years, actors like Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Hugo Weaving have shared illuminating insights into how The Matrix challenged conventional storytelling and invited them to engage with existential questions that resonated deeply on personal and intellectual levels. Keanu Reeves, who portrayed Neo, often described his journey as an actor as inseparable from the film's exploration of self-discovery and choice. In a 2019 interview with the New York Times, Reeves emphasized how the script's philosophical inquiries into what is real pushed him to internalize Neo's crisis of identity. He reflected, "Neo's path felt like a mirror to my own doubts about who I am and the power of choice. It was less about playing a superhero and more about inhabiting someone wrestling with the nature of existence." Reeves credited his early exposure to Buddhist philosophy and Zen meditation as a lens through which he understood Neo's awakening. Lawrence Fishburne's portrayal of Morpheus was likewise deeply influenced by philosophical and literary traditions. In a 2001 panel discussion at the Sundance Film Festival, Fishburne recounted how he approached Morpheus as a modern-day Socratic figure. Fishburne mentioned his study of Plato's allegory of the cave and Descartes' skepticism, both central to the film's themes. Morpheus embodies the role of the guide who refuses to let Neo live in comfortable ignorance too, Fishburne explained. The character's unwavering faith in free will and the possibility of transcendence was what made him compelling to play. Carrie-Anne Moss, who played Trinity, also found personal meaning in the film's undercurrents about agency and love as acts of rebellion against control. In a 2015 interview for The Guardian, Moss revealed that Trinity's role resonated with her own experiences of breaking free from societal expectations. She connected Trinity's fearless independence and loyalty to Neo as symbolic of forging an authentic self amid overwhelming external pressures. Moss said, "Trinity's strength is not just physical, but spiritual. She's a beacon of choice and connection in a world designed to suppress those things. That made her more than an action hero to me." Hugo Weaving's Agent Smith offered a striking counterpoint, embodying the film's dark meditation on control, conformity, and resistance to change. Weaving has spoken extensively about the philosophical implications of playing a villain who is not merely evil, but a program enforcing systemic control. In a 2003 interview with Sight and Sound, Weaving described Agent Smith as an agent of determinism, a manifestation of the system's attempt to erase free will. He studied Orwellian and existentialist texts to understand Smith's relentless pursuit of order, seeing the character as trapped in a loop of his own programming. Weaving explained that this perspective gave him insight into Smith's growing self-awareness and eventual rebellion against his own constraints, which paralleled Neo's fight for liberation. There's a tragic irony in Smith's quest for freedom, Weaving noted, which makes him more than a typical villain. Beyond individual roles, the cast frequently discussed how The Matrix transcended traditional action film conventions to become a meaningful philosophical commentary. In a 2010 roundtable for Wired, the principal cast, including Reeves, Fishburne, Moss, and Weaving, reflected on moments during filming when they felt the story took on profound significance. Carrie Ann Moss recalled a quiet scene where Trinity and Neo discussed choice and fate. It was a simple exchange, but there was an unspoken depth. On set, we could feel that we were part of something larger, a film that questions the very fabric of reality. Lawrence Fishburne echoed this sentiment, saying that the project felt like an invitation for audiences to question their own lives and the systems that shape them. The philosophical texts and ideas behind The Matrix also influenced how the cast understood the film's narrative arc. Many have cited the Wachowskis' incorporation of Eastern philosophy, cyberpunk literature, and Gnostic concepts as enriching their approach. Keanu Reeves noted in a 2022 podcast interview that reading Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching helped him embody Neo's fluidity and openness to transformation. Similarly, Fishburne pointed to the influence of Jean Baudrillard's Simulacra and Simulation, which famously appeared in the film as a prop book to explore the hyper-real nature of the Matrix world. These intellectual touchstones deepened the actors' performances, enabling them to convey not only action, but also complex ideas about illusion, freedom, and self-awareness. Clearly, The Matrix was more than a sci-fi spectacle. It was a philosophical journey that challenged both performers and viewers to rethink the nature of existence. As Carrie Ann Moss succinctly put it in a 2017 interview with Vulture, "We weren't just making a movie. We were inviting people to wake up." This shared commitment to exploring the film's existential questions infused the performances with authenticity and gravitas, helping The Matrix endure as a cultural landmark that continues to inspire discussion and discovery across generations. Unseen footage, deleted scenes, and alternate takes. Over the years, cast members have shared intriguing memories and insights about deleted scenes, alternate takes, and behind-the-scenes footage that offer fans a richer understanding of the film's narrative and characters. One of the most frequently discussed deleted sequences is the so-called kids scene, involving the character known simply as the Kid, played by Clayton Watson. Originally, this subplot was intended to deepen the exploration of faith and belief within the Matrix universe. The Kid's enthusiastic, almost messianic devotion to Neo was designed to reflect the growing mythos around the One, highlighting how Neo's influence extended beyond the core team. Watson recalled in a 2015 interview with Collider how the scene portrayed the Kid witnessing Neo's miraculous feats firsthand and pledging allegiance. It was a subtle but powerful moment that added emotional weight to the story's spiritual themes, Watson said. The decision to cut these scenes was made to maintain the film's brisk pacing and to avoid diluting the primary narrative, but the footage later surfaced in the 2004 DVD release, where fans and critics alike noted its contribution to the film's lore. Another notable excision involved a deeper look into Trinity's backstory, including flashbacks to her early days as a hacker before meeting Morpheus. Carrie Ann Moss has mentioned in various interviews that the original script contained scenes where Trinity's motivations and vulnerabilities were more explicitly explored. In a 2000 Entertainment Weekly feature, Moss explained, "Those deleted scenes gave more context to Trinity's fearless attitude and her trust in Neo. They showed a woman shaped by loss and rebellion, which made her more relatable." The cuts were made largely for time constraints and to keep the film's tone taut and focused on the central mission. Yet fans who viewed the extended editions appreciated the added layers these glimpses provided. Lawrence Fishburne's Morpheus also had moments trimmed, particularly in dialogues that delved deeper into the philosophical framework of The Matrix. In the original shooting script, Morpheus engages in longer, more contemplative monologues on freedom and choice, which Fishburne felt were crucial for grounding the story's metaphysical stakes. Reflecting on this in a 2018 audio commentary for The Matrix Reloaded, Fishburne noted, "Some of those monologues were sacrificed for pace, but they illuminated Morpheus's role as a mentor and prophet. The dialogue helped audiences grasp the gravity of what Neo was confronting." These deletions, while necessary for the film's dynamic flow, slightly reduced the exposition-heavy texture that might have otherwise slowed the narrative. Hugo Weaving's portrayal of Agent Smith also underwent multiple alternate takes, especially in scenes where Smith's cold, mechanical menace shifts subtly into something more personal and almost sardonic. Behind-the-scenes footage included in the 2000 Making of the Matrix documentary reveals Weaving experimenting with different intonations and body language, some of which emphasized Smith's growing frustration with his own existence. Weaving once described this process in an interview with Sight and Sound. "Playing Smith was about finding that balance between a relentless machine and a character who increasingly feels trapped by his programming. The alternate takes allowed me to explore his subtle shifts in awareness and anger." While the final cut favors a more measured menace, these alternate takes offer a glimpse into the character's psychological complexity. The cast has also recalled amusing behind-the-scenes moments captured in outtakes and bloopers that contrasted sharply with the film's serious tone. Keanu Reeves once shared in a 2016 Jimmy Kimmel Live episode that there was a day during the intense lobby shoot when everyone on set spontaneously burst into laughter over a prop mishap involving a falling chair. "It was one of those rare moments where the tension broke, and we all remembered we were just making a movie," Reeves said. The decision to excise or alter scenes was always a balancing act between storytelling ambition and cinematic rhythm. For example, the pacing of the final cut is famously tight, a necessity given the film's pioneering action sequences and dense thematic material. Yet, alternate takes sometimes reveal a slower, more meditative approach to certain sequences, suggesting the filmmaker's willingness to experiment before settling on the iconic style that defined The Matrix. Carrie Ann Moss commented on this in a 2003 retrospective interview with The Guardian. "Seeing alternate takes reminds me how much thought went into every gesture and line, how different choices could have changed the film's entire mood. Interestingly, these unseen materials have occasionally offered new plot clues or character insights that even the most dedicated fans missed. For instance, in some deleted dialogue exchanges between Neo and the Oracle, there are subtle hints at the cyclical nature of the Matrix and the possibility of previous ones that did not appear in the theatrical version. This added complexity was discussed by the cast during a 2019 panel at San Diego Comic-Con, where Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne both acknowledged that exploring these scenes gave them a richer understanding of their characters' place in a much larger, almost mythic narrative. These unseen footage, deleted scenes, and alternate takes reveal that the production was an intellectually ambitious as well as a visually spectacular effort, where every cut, change or addition was weighed for its impact on pacing, tone, and thematic clarity. For the cast, revisiting these moments has been a way to appreciate the multiple layers of storytelling and character development that underpin this cultural milestone. For fans, these hidden fragments invite a renewed engagement with a film that continues to unfold new secrets decades after its release. More than 20 years after its release, The Matrix remains a cinematic milestone, not just for its revolutionary visuals, but for the profound impact it continues to have on audiences. And no one is more aware of this than its original cast. Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, Lawrence Fishburne, and Hugo Weaving have all reflected on how the film evolved into something far beyond a sci-fi action thriller. Reeves has expressed wonder at the layers fans have uncovered, some of which were never deliberately placed, yet have taken on philosophical significance. Moss has echoed this sentiment, highlighting how the characters seem to evolve organically during filming and how fan interpretations have kept the story alive in new, unexpected ways. Lawrence Fishburne, often regarded as the philosophical anchor of the film through his role as Morpheus, has credited The Matrix for igniting conversations that extend beyond the screen. Conversations about belief systems, free will, and control. Hugo Weaving's reflections on Agent Smith show how even the film's antagonist gained new dimensions through later viewings and audience insights, shifting from villain to existential victim. Far from being a product of its time, The Matrix continues to live on as a work of layered storytelling, sustained by the cast's thoughtful performances and the public's ongoing exploration of its meanings. As Reeves said in 2022, the film was born of a shared belief in something bigger than ourselves, and that belief still resonates, inviting each new viewer to look deeper. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.